All right. Wow. Wow, that does look pretty cool. Okay, so I've been experimenting with StreamYard, Monty. I've been experimenting because I see everybody else is doing their StreamYard, so I said I better try to get on board with this. So as you can see right above you, there's a picture of the cheetah waiting to pounce on you. Nope.
I love the cheetah.
And then I put the scroll down there, so
Hmm.
that works. All right. Uh, well, we're here. This is sort of like a unofficial, official Midnight Society type of deal. I thought I decided to come out here and talk a little Friday the 13th, maybe do like a weekly update on what's going on with it. Um, as some of you may know or may not know, me and Al, we did a deep dive into our Friday the 13th. We went through every movie. We had film director and screenwriter Adam Marcus, who wrote Jason Goes to Hell. He came out and hung out with us for a night. And so when I heard that the new Friday the 13th movie was rumbling, I had been keeping up with it because I heard about the court case settling. I thought, you know what, I want to talk about it. Let's see if we can follow this movie from now until the release date. And so I thought I'd go ahead and ask Monty G to come on in there and hang out with me tonight, this afternoon. I know noon, right? Are we ever up? Are we ever up at noon? I don't know if. So we thought we'd go ahead and talk about some of the finer points of what's going on with the movie, our thoughts, our ideas, casting suggestions, all that jazz, all the stuff that fans like us we all want to do, right? We all want to talk about it. Hi, Betty.
Hey, Betty.
We all want to talk about it because it's what's going on right now. And so, what was your impression, Monty, when you first heard that we're going to get another Friday the 13th movie? What was your first reaction?
I really wasn't surprised. I was surprised when Sean said it, the actual creator of Friday the 13th. Well, not the creator, the producer of it. Victor Miller was the one who created the characters. But yeah, I wasn't surprised once the court case was resolved and Victor Miller kind of was the winner. But I was waiting for to see if somebody's going to finally say, okay, let's finally get a new Friday the 13th film out. And when obviously when I saw Steven from Craven Something Scary put the information out there that Sean put on his cameo profile that a new Friday the 13th was going to be made. It was going to come out next year. I'm like, wow, that's quick. That's real. That means that after the court case was settled, Sean, probably had some writers going ahead and start writing the script, or they had something already established, maybe a couple drafts that they already have planned, but because of the lawsuit, they have to wait until they get that settled first. And now that they have that settled, perhaps now they can go on ahead and get the production started. So it's going to be interesting to see where this goes. Hey,
Yeah,
Benny.
I agree. It's sort of funny because it's like, because the court case, I think because I think Sean Cunningham, like I said, I went on record saying this. I sort of think he did Victor dirty, and the
Oh yeah,
fact
he did.
that
He did.
you know I never understood how it got to be that far. You
Hmm.
know, I think that to go out there and just call him a hired hack when it's been pretty well established that he was part of the creative team, and then you're going to go ahead and lay it out like, yeah, he was just writing what I said, my ideas. um I just, I just didn't like that. And and the fact that Victor Miller, after he, was really weird is like he, after the last Friday the 13th, when he sued, um it wasn't because it was like Victor Miller wanted to take control to make his own movie or anything like that.
No, he deserved to get the credit for
Sure.
he wanted to get credit for creating this series. That's all he really wanted. He wasn't anything uh, nefarious in his. He just said, "Look, I'm the main reason why we have this iconic characters or this iconic series, and I deserve to get my fruits of the labors that I sat down and created." So I don't blame Victor for wanting to get anything out of this.
The impression I got more than anything else about this whole thing happening the way it did was you got them really you got the impression that it wasn't like Victor Miller was holding out for money, because
Mhm.
both Sean and him have made millions off the movies. Maybe Sean has made more, but either one, they're both wealthy. Um, it really seemed to me more than anything else that Victor Miller wanted to end the character.
Mhm.
He wanted the series to end. I mean, he could have just laid back in the cut and just said nothing, and just said, yeah, just go ahead and keep giving me money. Obviously he wants his fair credit, or created by or whatnot, which is really what he sued for. He sued for that.
Hey,
But
Valerie.
hi, Valerie. Hi, Warm Springs. Warmstrong. I said Warm Springs. Warmstrong.
What's wrong?
Yeah. Uh,
Yeah, that's the
Again, happy birthday to you, Valerie. Happy
yeah, yeah,
birthday.
yeah. By the happy birthday. Yeah, one of the things I find fascinating when it comes to the big three, whether it's Jason, Michael, or Freddie, you know, there comes a time when you actually do have to, kill the character off. And yeah, I know both Freddie and Michael, I mean, both Freddie and Jason supposedly had their deaths.
Right.
whether, whether it's Freddy's Dead, the Final Nightmare, or Jason Goes to Hell, the Final Friday. They both supposedly had their depths. I think sometimes you have to come to a point where, okay, we really do need to go on ahead and kill the character. Hence, that's what we're all going about with Halloween Ends. And the same thing should be to do. And I understand Victor saying there's only so much you can do with, whether it's Jason, there's only so much you can do with Freddy. Then it becomes redundant and repetitive, and the characters go stale. I mean, that's what
Yeah.
happened during the 90s, was that, both Freddy, Michael, and Jason became stale. It's like the writers couldn't do anything more with the characters that we haven't seen done before. I mean, we already had Jason in space. We're going to send Freddy in space. We're going to send Michael in space next.
It's funny because when we talked to Adam Marcus, who
Mm,
did the Jason Goes to Hell, you
mm,
know, he said that. He said, it's like where are we going to go? And the fact of the man, where are we going to go with the character? Because, and unlike Jason, unlike Halloween and Freddy, they truly did kill Jason Voorhees. Jason
yeah.
Voorhees died. His character was over with. That could have been it. They could have wrapped it up and went on their merry way. But and I think that once the studio's sitting there going like, yeah, but we want to milk it. So after that, then every director that came on after that, their job is probably a lot harder than it was right in the first 5 films,
Hmm.
because now you have to take Jason and bring him back to life, and it's like, how are we going to do this and be somewhat credible? Well,
Yes.
you're not going to be credible because he's dead. You
Hmm.
just got to do the best you can and have fun with it.
Hmm.
That was the whole thing, is to have fun. And actually, I mean, in that sense, there's probably a lot more. Now, obviously, there is. There's more humor. There's more dark comedy. There's more lighthearted moments. And and starting from Jason Lives going on after that. I mean, because it's like, what are we doing? He's dead. So we're just gonna let's see how many wacky places we could take him to. Um, and of course the fans are going like, the box office receipts got lower and lower and lower. They got lower with every release, but at the same time, it's like, well, we want more Jason. Well, or they complain about the story. It's like, well, what do you want? Well, there's
Hmm.
nothing we can do. We killed off the character. It's like, and it's like, maybe let him go. But um, you wonder if it was the fans more than it was the studios that were hammering to bring the characters back.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. I mean, I guess it's one of the reasons why I liked the remake. I like what they did. They combined the first three Friday the 13th and made it to a cohesive story. I like that aspect of what they did with Jason. They made him more threatening and frightening. He felt more of a believable character as opposed to what he had become prior to the remake. He became like some supernatural creature that you can't kill. You
Right.
can't kill, and that's why I enjoyed the remake, because at least that way it looked like more a believable character. I mean, that's kind of what I believe that's what they should do with some of these characters. I mean, take a look how many times they've done with Leatherface. I mean, and unfortunately, they continue to try to do something with Leatherface, but I don't think the writers know what to do with that character anymore. I
No.
mean, even though he's kind of iconic, he's not like Freddy. He's not like Freddy, Jason, or Michael. I mean, I put him on my Mount Rushmore when it comes to horror icons of the modern era. And but I don't know what they do with the characters, and it seems like that seems to be what the problems that they're having right now with Freddie and Jason. They don't know what to do with the characters anymore.
No, they get put in creative corners.
Hmm.
Um, that's why I was really surprised with how much. I mean, I really like the remake in 2009. The I
Oh yeah.
and the thing is, also like Jason is the thing is Jason is so much more interesting as a human. He really is. The best films are the best are the first four or five, and then the
Hmm.
remake. I mean, as far as storyline goes, I mean, entertainment value wise, Jason Goes to Hell, Jason X, yes, they're entertaining as hell. But
Hmm.
as far as I mean, I wasn't, but nobody got scared watching those movies.
No.
You're not sitting there watching Jason Goes to Hell and be like, oh my god, Jason versus Freddy. No, the first two, three, and the last one, yeah, you're sitting at the edge of your seat because you don't know what's going to happen, and it's realistic. And of course, I've always liked the human. I like the human slasher more than I like the supernatural.
Yeah. So do I. So Felix.
Hey, Rick.
Hmm.
Well, shoot, I got to make sure it's really Rick though, because sometimes we get these strange
Yeah, I know.
imposters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to. Let's see. Only the true Rick knows the password. So
uh,
you just got to be careful about that.
I know.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah, I had because I know we had a troll on the last time when I did the stream with Knight and the Deadly Venoms. We had a troll on there. We had to kick off.
oh, really?
Oh yeah,
Wow, wow! I didn't know. Night never gets any trolls.
I know. Yeah, because I barely get any trolls. When I do my live streams for the horror hangouts, and that was the first time I ever seen a troll when I did a stream of Night. But we always going to have those trolls. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's Rick.
yeah, that's Rick. Yeah, that's one thing I have to say. I've been, like we have bots come on during our lives once in a great
Mhm.
while, but those are always dealt with in a heartbeat. But as far as out and right trolls, no, I never had one.
Mhm.
Knock on wood. Um, but yeah, I think that I think for the storyline, one of the things, for the storyline for this new movie is where they're gonna go with it. Are they gonna take it back to formula, so to speak? Um, because I mean, Cunningham has the movie rights from the second one on. He has he
Mhm.
has he has Hockey Mask Jason. I guess the real question is, what's more important to the fans, Hockey Mask Jason, or do you want an origin story?
I,
Personally, I think they could pick up in 2009.
that's what I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know if they're going to do the 2009 one. I don't know if this is going to do it the way the remake was. I don't know where Sean's going to go. He could have it to where we pick. Maybe he can do a Halloween 2018, where it simply just picks up from the end of the first movie. He can go that route if he wants to do it that way, and kind of make it a little bit more believable. Not do a rehash of it. But there's certain ways he can go, but I don't know where he can go. But I would, if he wants to do the same thing what we did, what seems to be the norm now when it comes to horror films, especially uh, horror icons. He can probably say, you know what, I'm going to ignore all the previous films in the series, and I'm just going to pick right off from the original Friday the 13th. Because I do have the Jason rights, I can use Jason Voorhees. So we won't mention his mother's name, and just pick up from there.
Yeah, I think a little in a sense. I do think that having young Jason and Pamela Voorhees,
Hmm.
as far as their importance to the series, I think that they're a little overrated now, and only in the sense that the fans that we're getting now, because you and I, we're veterans. We've been around since the beginning. But this new movie is going to be playing before a brand new young audience.
I know.
And the question is,
Man,
do they care about the first movies?
mhm.
Hey, Jamie.
Hey, Jamie. And the idea just hit me because this is something we never seen before. We never seen Jason grow up. If they want to do something totally different that we never seen before, we can actually show Jason growing up. We can see him being, if he is deformed like we've seen him before, we can actually see a different version of Jason where he gets teased and he grows up and gets ridiculed by half the people at the camp, and then we see him and eventually become the killer that he eventually becomes. They can I think Sean, if he wants to do something totally different that we haven't seen before, he can actually show Jason as an adolescent. I would say at least around maybe 13, 14 years old. He's trying to do good, but he's constantly picked on. And eventually, as the years go by, he eventually starts to go crazy, and all of a sudden, then that's when he goes on a killing spree. Not just a slasher killing spree, but something methodical, something that we haven't seen Jason before. How does Jason become Jason? If they
I
want to
like
go
it.
that route, that's what they should do.
I like it because
Mm-hmm.
you get to kill two stones, two birds with one stone. One, you get to reset the storyline.
Mm-hmm.
Two, you can go back to the first, because this is something we talked about during our dive. Is that this is what watching Jason, was so interesting. He was such an interesting character. Was you know like Freddy and like Michael and Freddy. They're Freddy's supernatural. Michael's always sort of like just a one track mind. You know,
Mm-hmm.
but Jason was human, and that's one of the things that really like when you watch the first 3, 4, 5 movies of Friday the 13th, and you see how smart he is, how intelligent he was, and it's something that's not really addressed. It's like Jason wasn't just a mindless killer. He had emotions, he had feelings, he could feel pain. He was human, and it's like even though he's a crazy son of a bitch, but he still we could all relate to him because he
Mm-hmm.
could feel the same thing we feel as an audience. Like, how would you feel watching your mom get beheaded? I'd be a bite, a bit
Oh no,
mad.
yeah, you'd be a bit
you
mad.
know.
And then
Um,
like Jamie, I always thought Jason's Frankenstein.
yeah, yeah. He, in a sense, he, in there, probably in his early years, he pretty much was like that. He probably pretty much was like he didn't mean to do the things he did. He was just trying to survive. Going
Mm-hmm.
inside town, steal. But then as he got older and probably got picked on more, probably got chased around or whatnot, he became more and more vindictive and more isolated and reclusive. So then he just basically went over the edge. Um, but yeah, I like that idea. I don't know how old he would have to be to get around Miller's creation, Miller's rights, because
Mm-hmm.
Miller sit there and say I got Jason all the way up to until he's what, 18,
Mm-hmm.
21, whatever. I mean, I can contain those rights until then. So we could pick up Jason either at 15 or 21.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm not sure if you go at 21 that would work because you're missing the whole point of taking it back. It's watching him grow up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I would hope that they can negotiate something like that, where they can negotiate, well, let me have Jason from age 14 on, and then
Because yeah, because
I mean,
we got some of that Freddy growing up, with Freddy's Dead, the Final Nightmare. We got sort of Freddy's sort of growing up, as he was dealing with the fact of how he was born. We got some of that. That's another aspect I would like to see. I mainly not with Michael, because we already know how Michael was when he was a kid, but I would love to see a more background of seeing how Freddy Krueger, how he was a child, growing up, the fact that he is actually the son of 1,000 maniacs, you know, and how was he growing up? We just got a little taste of that with Freddy's Dead, but I think if they wanted to create a new nightmare, let's show how Freddy became Freddy, before he got killed. that's something aspect that they can do. Let's see them as a child. I mean, they actually try to do that with Leatherface.
My my
Leather,
my only thing with that is because they try to do that with another movie I'll mention here in a second. They try to do that with this one character, well-known character, and they flip the script. They try to make this person like humane
mm,
and relatable, and it's like I don't want that. I don't want a relatable like. I don't want to, I'm not looking to feel sorry for Jason, or necessarily, because I don't want to feel that because if you make me feel sorry, then
mhm,
where's the jeopardy? Where's the thrill? Where's the suspense? Because you're sitting over there like, man, that guy got fucked up, man. I don't blame him. That's not what
yeah.
the message you want to send to. That's not the message you're trying to get. Because you're not being scared by that. You're just like, man, I feel sorry for him, and it takes you out. It takes you out of the moment. And they try to do that with Cruella Deville. They try to make
Uh,
her like and it's like you're sitting there going like, no, I don't want that. I love the fact that the evil Cruella Deville, she's evil from the very time we see her. That's what I want. That's what I like to see because that's the character I've always known. I
yeah.
don't really want to go her backstory that much because then you don't have it. Then you don't really care. Then you're not like I don't know. You just feel sorry for the character. You
If
know.
that's what happened with that movie that Emma Stone did with Corella,
Yeah.
they try to make her a more sympathetic character.
Yeah. It's like no, you don't want that. That's what made the whole that's what made the whole 101 Dalmatians so awesome was because they had an evil villain and she had no heart, and that
Mhm.
made you root for the dogs. You're supposed to be rooting for the dogs. You're supposed to be rooting for the victims, the campers, the counselors. You're not supposed to be cheering on the killer or feeling sorry for the killer.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but it's to me, it's like I don't need to see another Freddy. I don't see any I don't see any another Friday the 13th where Jason does what Jason does. We've
No,
seen that plenty of times before. That's the problem that I have. I mean, that's the same thing with Scream. And I think that's the reason why in Scream 5 they tried to do something a little bit different. Yeah, and yeah, I could see them wanting to still put the legacy characters in there, but my problem was, well, what more can he do with
yeah,
Sidney Gale and Dewey?
dude,
And
yeah,
Dewey, it's like there's really nothing more you can do with those
no,
characters, So that's why I was like, well, at least they finally did kill somebody off, kill one of them off, and now you only have Gale left in the franchise, but there's really nothing more you can do with them. But the problem with Scream 5 was that they didn't really build up the new cast members. They didn't do any character development, so you really didn't care about any of them. So that's my whole thing. Is with any of these characters, they're so iconic, but we already seen them do much as they can. That's the reason why after the fourth Friday the 13th, I mean, other than seven, the six was okay. Six was okay. Seven was I did love seven because that's my favorite kill in the franchise. But unfortunately, eight, boy. I mean, you still get entertained because you try to create a whole bunch of different type of kills. I think that's the reason why people still will see them because they want to see if there's anything new way that Freddy can kill, something new way Jason can kill, or
right.
Michael just becomes real more brutal. Like in Halloween Kills, it's the most brutal I've seen Michael since Rob Zombie's Halloween 2.
Um, Jamie mentions here that she can empathize with a sympathetic villain without thinking they're doing the right thing. I love it when they muddle up my feelings with unexpected emotions. Um, yeah, I mean that's one thing I have to say, Jamie. I agree with you about that. I agree because when we're watching our Friday the 13th, that's one of the things we did talk about. We did talk about how Jason had grown up and what he went through and how isolated. I mean, we actually, and the character of Jenny and Friday the 13th Part Two, she was commenting on the psychology of Jason Voorhees as well. I mean, it
Mm,
was covered. It was covered and talked about, which is good. Everybody else has just been like, Jason and Michael. I mean, the other two icons. It's like we didn't really, it's just that was lacking. We know that we know, and the thing that it was, it's like he felt sorry for Michael. He felt sorry for Michael in the sense that we don't know what happened to him at 6 years old. But after that, then, since they really never explained it really satisfactorily, you really don't know. With Freddie, he grew up in a horrible way. Yes, he was, he was he was a victim of as a product of a rape. But that, that, I'm not going to sit there and tell you I'm going to root for a child molester.
No.
I'm not going to sit there and do that. I'm not, I don't want him. I don't want him. I don't want sympathy for him because he's a monster.
Mm-hmm.
Jason is the most humane of the top three.
Oh yeah.
He's the most humane and the most interesting to me because Freddy, because the other two are unstoppable. Jason, is not. When he's in human mode, he's not. Watching those movies and seeing him react and hearing his pain, that was something. Like I said, we can relate to that. It's like it actually puts you in that moment. You're like, okay, what would you do? Because you're fighting a human being. And I really like that too. And they continued that with 2009's movie. They showed his intelligence. Jason is a smart man. He's not dumb.
No.
Having him building the tunnels underneath that wheat plant, that wheat farm, that was brilliant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Hobbs has an interesting question for you.
Let's see. Are you wanting more emotional Jason or a brutal killer? Well, if you're gonna go, I want Jason to be brutal because that's what he is. He is a brutal. He is. He's a product of that. Now, but thing is though, it's like to go back and they show him being bullied and picked on, and they justify why he became Jason because he got picked on. I don't want to see that. I want to see him like just lose his temper. Like maybe the cops stopped him. Maybe the cops are beating him, and he just says, "You know what? Fuck this." and he goes to town. He says, "You know what? I'm tired of this." And then he just goes to town. After that, he just snaps. And then okay, well there he goes. He snapped. He's just a machine now. You know what I mean? As far as whenever something gets in his way, he's just going to go through it. But no, I mean you could have both. Hey, Sean.
I mean, it's just like with the movie The Joker. When we see that particular character, he was already depressed and sad and angry, and you know that he was just so troubled. And we see his degradation. He gets picked on. No one treats him with any type of respect, and he just finally snaps, and he eventually becomes the Joker. In the film. And a lot of people did enjoy that, because mainly because we really don't know what type of an origin story Joker has, because in his own words, if I want to have an origin story, it might as well be multiple choice. And so I think some people kind of like that. We get to see something that we haven't seen before, so we get to see not that we should feel sorry for any of these characters because of what their nature is. I mean, they do kill people. Obviously Freddie is a child molester. Obviously Michael, he just pure evil, and Jason, he just he got picked on. He saw his own mother get beheaded, and so we kind of feel a little bit sorry for him. But they all do kill people. But I think what people like about, what people want to see is like, how did they become? It's just like with serial killers, true life serial killers. We get to see, what caused these guys to behave or become the killers that they are. We shouldn't feel sorry for them, but we want to see their background. And I think a lot of people like to see the actual stories of these characters. What caused this person to become the person that they are.
Yeah, agreed. I agree. I think that's the reason why I really do like I really like the idea of, for one thing, I mean, obviously all the other Jason movies, Supernatural, Jason, they're all going to be wiped clean. I guess they're going to have to wipe out the the final Friday the 13th too. I think they can still work off the first movie if they can get an age set, and then
Uh,
I think they can cover the second and the third movie. But obviously, you have to skip the fourth one because he dies, and
mhm.
I don't think they're gonna bring him back just to kill him. Um, I think I personally I just don't know if it's a good idea to take it that far back. My gut feeling is if they're gonna go ahead and pick up Jason from I think they should not directly sequel to 2009, but take elements from that. You know, like at least the campsite, and then
Mhm.
go somewhere different with that. And that brings up another point: is where would you like to see Jason go in the terms of location? Do we want to keep him at Camp Crystal Lake? Do we want to keep him in familiar surroundings, or um, do we want to take him, you know, back to Canada or Manhattan?
Yeah, that's an interesting choice because I don't know what would work. I mean, do we, I don't know if we're going to keep him in the Crystal Lake area, or do we send him out to a some type of a setting, maybe an orphanage setting, something like they did with wasn't that, I can't think, what's the Chucky TV series? I can't remember that was not, but something where, you know, they find him, they send him over to, they obviously he's orphaned. Somehow something happens and he eventually finds himself back at Camp Crystal Lake. I know maybe they might want to try something that. I don't know what Sean is, but yeah, the setting would have to be something completely different. Maybe they might keep him there, and then they don't know where he is, and all of a sudden, things happen. It's an interesting way. So the setting could really dictate how the movie plays, and it depends upon
Sure.
what type of story they want to tell and the setting, whether they want to keep it at Camp Crystal Lake or change it to a different type of setting that we haven't seen before, and then he eventually goes back to Camp Crystal Lake at the end of the film.
Because you know the problem with bringing Jason to the modern age is
Mm,
this: basically, tech has caught up to him. I mean, tech now. I mean, like you know, the first 3 or 4 Friday the 13th movies are they're all supposed to be within a week or so of being, and like you know, he gets away with killing like 30 people, 50 people, whatever it was. You couldn't do that now. I mean, back then he could because it was you're
mm,
manually looking for him. You're manually looking. Now you wouldn't. Now would be be drones out there. You know the heat vision. I mean, there'd be so much tech. It would be so hard for him to evade capture.
mm.
As far even especially because for as much damage as he did, could you imagine the response now to that?
Yeah, that.
If he had done what he did back in the 80s, and then you had to respond to it with today's world, oh, he would never got out of the first movie.
I know. Yeah,
They would have caught him so fast. It just they would have thrown a damn army out there with all the
I know.
tech.
Yeah, yeah. That's
And
another.
so
Yeah, yeah. That's going to be another thing that Sean's going to have to think about, and his writers. Do we set it back in the actual '80s, or do we actually set it in modern times? We know where it'll be more difficult for him to evade capture. That's another aspect I would like to see him doing. Not like what they did in Jason X. No, something a little bit more grounded in reality.
yeah, of course. Because that's one of the things I think they tried to do that. Marcus Nispel, when he did try
Mm,
deal with that in 2009, he had a foreshadowing, I think, when that story was written, and the
mm,
fact that Jason did go underground.
yeah.
So it's like if I could see them keeping the story out in a rural area because he could do stuff like that. He could make tunnels. I mean, and believe me, when I say, yeah, you could live in tunnels for years because people have done it. Um, he can move around without being seen or detected for a lot easier than now. As far as that goes. But yeah, otherwise that it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be really really hard.
Yeah.
Uh, him being human as well, he's gonna have to surface. He can't hold his breath forever. He's got to eat. He's got to get, he's got to get supplies. As soon as he sticks his nose up, they're gonna know that he's out there, and then
Mm-hmm.
then it'll be a short movie. I do like the aspect too. If you go back to the '80s, one of the great things about taking it back to the '80s, though, I think is really exciting, is the fact that yes, you're taking it back to where it started from, and I think that really benefits the fans because
Mm-hmm.
there's people out there now that have never seen the only Jason movie they've ever actually sat at the theater for was 2009.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think the other ones I think the last one, I think Jason X came out in what 2000, 1999.
I think so.
Freddy versus Jason maybe 2000, 2001. And that's more of a Freddy movie than a Jason movie. So other than 2009, I think the last Jason movie came out in the early 90s,
Yeah, no. Jason X came out in 2001.
2001.
Yeah,
Hi, Pete, how
2001.
are you?
And Freddy versus Jason came out in 2003.
Okay, so they basically have seen three movies, and then not human, three fantasy Jasons, I guess, and here it's gonna be 23. So they haven't seen most of the people that they'll be aiming this movie for weren't even born when the last Jason movie came out. I mean, the
Mm-hmm.
last real Jason movie came out. So I think that you can go back to the '80s and you could reintroduce a whole new generation of fans. Um, that's one aspect of doing it, taking it back. That would be a benefit. Should be a plus. I just like 2009 a lot. I guess I liked it more than I expected to.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they did a really nice job with it. I mean, that movie was freaking ferocious.
Yeah, I know.
That has
Because
some,
because I love what Derek Means did with did with the character. I actually prefer him over Kane Hodder.
you know what? That's the other thing we're talking about too is casting. And I like the guy who did Jason X, Ken Kissinger.
Mm-hmm.
Kinzinger, I think he did Jason X. I love that character. I loved him. I mean, Kane. Yeah, Derek Mears is also very good.
Mm-hmm.
Um, here's a question for you: if they redo Jason, do you want him to talk? And if so, how much?
Hmm. That's interesting. we never we never heard him talk before.
No,
Um, maybe. I mean, Michael talked in Rob Zombie's Halloween. Yeah, Michael talked before he finally shut himself off. So it was interesting to finally hear Michael talk. It would be actually nice to actually see my Jason actually have some type of speak something, you know, because
I
that's
do
something
too.
we haven't seen Jason done before. Because like I said before, yeah, that's something we love to see Jason to do. Actually, him speak, him talk, him, talk about his frustration, talk about how much his mother meant to him. We haven't heard that from Jason before, so it'd be interesting to see Jason speak.
We know that it can. We know he can articulate. We know
Yeah,
this because when he got hurt, he made cries. He cried. He groaned. So it
yeah.
wasn't like he's mute. It's not like he doesn't have any voice. He has a voice, and he has used it. He just hasn't used. He hasn't spoken.
Hmm.
And I'm thinking, well, would we want to hear Jason speak? I
I know.
I
Yeah,
I I I'm leaning toward yes. I
yeah.
would like to see him not. I'm not saying him have a dictionary for vocabulary,
Oh
but
no, no.
I'd like to at least say him say ouch or food or or something like that or you hurt me or that hurt maybe stilted speech, but still speech. I still like to see him have it. I think it would be. I definitely think it would be make the character again more relatable. A little bit more. He's yeah he's thinking. We can hear him thinking. He's articulating his thoughts. I like that aspect.
I know.
And again, and that can go to his casting. Um,
Hmm.
you know, who I would like to see. Derek, I'd like to see Derek Mears come back too.
Yeah,
Uh,
I wouldn't mind seeing him playing the Jason. I don't know who else we would cast in the film. Whether we have some new characters or if they want to bring back old characters. I don't know if Jenny Steele would want to come back as her character again. But then again, it all
I
depends
think
upon what the movie is going to be about or who they're going to cast.
I think they could get away with if they wanted to bring back anybody from 2009. I'm all right with that.
Mhm.
They want to bring back they bring back Jared Padalecki, and they want to bring back Amanda Rigetti. I'm okay with that. I
Mhm.
think if you bring back other characters, I think all you're going to be doing is you're going to be considered a copycat.
Yeah.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Halloween, and of course, and Scream. They all bring back all their legacy characters. Do you really want to just follow that footprint that's already been out there? I
Mm.
mean, is that really what we want? I don't. I really don't think so. What I really like to see, if they really wanted to be smart, is they go back to the first three movies where they casted relatively unknowns.
Yes. You
I'm with
can't
that.
you cast some veteran actors so you can at least get a box office draw.
Sure.
Because that's what you have to do. But you also want to cast, some up and coming characters. So long as you write a decent, good script, and you have some decent, good young character actors. But you also want to bring back some people. You want to cast some people that that will cause people to come see the movie. I'm pretty sure a lot of people will say, "Well, cast Daniel Harris."
Uh, Tammy saying more scary with no voice. Um, well, I don't know. To me, I think the fact that he articulates,
Hmm.
I think that made him more scarier. Like when he got hurt and then he get up and he started looking at you, like he basically said, "Yeah, that hurt, and I'm letting you know that hurt, and
Now you
now I'm
pissed
gonna
me
get to
off.
hurt you. Now I'm pissed. I mean, otherwise it's just a machine. It's just like,
Mhm.
okay, wow, you hit him and he falls down and he falls down and and gets up. Okay, it's just another Jason or a Michael. I think that I think the fact that when he expressed himself getting injured, um, yeah, I like that idea. He gets off and he's pissed off. He's showing emotion. Um, bring back Miguel Nunez. Well, though you mentioned about bringing a name in for a box office. They brought in those names. I mean, both. Yeah, there's pros and cons because
Mhm.
the first three Friday the 13th movies, or even the fourth for that matter, um, they really were. They were all brand new. Nobody really did anything
Yeah.
when
No,
they
yeah.
cast
No.
them all from Broadway. And I think what happens is, I think what that benefits for, especially today, is the fact that you wouldn't be able to increase the budget by keeping it to a relatively known name.
Yeah.
'Cause
Uh,
let's say you get $30 million. Well, you get a couple of name actors, and all of a sudden now your budget is maybe 26 million.
mhm.
Because you got to pay the big names. With
Mhm.
relatively unknowns, you don't have to do that, and you can put more money on the screen.
Yeah, yeah, because it's a catch-22. Is because you don't want to over budget yourself by bringing in a actor that's going to demand more money, but you also want to make sure that you want to cast people that people want to come see it. So I would say that's why I said maybe Danielle Harris because a lot of people want to see her back in this particular setting. Maybe what's her name? Isabel. I can't remember her last name, but she was
Catherine Isabel. Catherine Isabel.
yeah, Catherine Isabel. Yeah, you might, bringing her back in. They're more. You don't have to really pay them a lot more, but there's still people go see them because of how well known in the horror genre.
Right. And they have to have good parts.
Yeah, they, you know,
I don't want them bringing back Danielle Harris and not giving her anything to do.
yeah, mm.
That would just that no.
That would kind of piss the fans off. If you're going to do that, then you should at least try to at least make her the final girl if you're going to do that.
Sure. I don't really necessarily feel like Friday the 13th at this point in time. Maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe because again, it's like Because I mean, it seems like everybody who's young knows the characters. I mean, even
Mhm.
young horror fans, they all know Friday the 13th. They just haven't seen a new movie. They haven't seen it for themselves. As far as it, I'm going to the theater to see a Friday the 13th. They have the box sets, they have all the movies and everything else. I, I, I think it. I think you get away with not necessarily having a heavy hitter.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, I think the name Friday the 13th is big enough to carry it. And as far as that goes, because the anticipation already is through the roof. It's already through the roof. I mean, it's only been announced basically for a week, and all of a
Oh yeah,
sudden, people, yeah, it's.
people have
I
been
mean,
talking about it all to death since I saw that on Steven's channel. I saw him announce that, and yeah, I've been seeing a whole bunch of other people talk about it as well. I think even Lee McCoy, I think he might have done something on his channel.
it's just it's gonna take over for sure.
Mm, mm,
And I think the anticipation is going to be so, it's going to be. I think that's what really happened with Scream and Halloween. A lot of people were anticipating it, so they went out to see it. A lot of people that normally wouldn't see those movies, they still went out to see it because of all the curiosity. So I think that's saying the same thing. I mean, you could have two ways. You can create a nice buzz for a film and a character without draining it dry.
yeah, give me a second. Give me a second, Patrick.
Sure. All right, chat. Let me ask you guys a question here. Who do you want to see as to play Jason? Are we going with Kane Hodder, who's 67 years old? Derek Mears is 55 years old. He would be up there. Um, my personal favorite, who I would love to see play Jason, um, I would love to see Nathan Jones play Jason. That would be my pick. Nathan Jones is an Australian actor. He played in the movie Troy. He was the first. He was the big guy that Brad Pitt's Achilles killed. Um, that's who I would like to see play Jason Voorhees.
I'm back.
Uh,
Yeah, I
uh,
got about 15 minutes left.
sure. Yep, that's all exactly what we got.
Mm,
All right. All right. So let's talk about this because we're talking a little bit about it anyway. Okay, we're all fans of films and whatnot, and I think one of the things that really irritates me a little bit is that it seems like there's just far too many leaks about the movie, whether it be from within the production or people, like basically standing outside the gates trying to get somebody to say something about somebody about the movie. Let me ask you guys. Let's open it up to the chat. Do you want to be completely surprised by a movie that you're expecting to see, or if someone sits there and talks it to death for the next year, you're okay with that as well? Do you want to know everything there is to know about a movie before you go see it, or do you want to sit back and relax and be surprised?
Let's see. Derek Means again. Haunted by Horror says, I think Friday the 13th will make a ton of money no matter what. But having Kane Hodder return as Jason would probably bring the most money as he is a fan favorite. Yeah, he's a fan favorite. I think a lot of people like what he did in the Jason the four films and he in the four films he was in. Um, but then again, it depends upon the story of what they want to do, and I don't know if that's I don't know if I forget how old he is. I don't know if he wants to do
67.
that. What do you say?
I, he's 67, and I think the term fans, I think that's relatively speaking, because you got old school fans like ourselves, and you got
Mm-hmm.
new school fans like the new fans. I don't think the new fans really give a rat's ass because
No.
they can't, they just don't know. They just don't, you know they had never experienced it. They never experienced it, so they don't really understand what Kane Hodder means to fans, some of the older fans. um
Mm-hmm.
that's why some of the people who say Derek Mears, that's because that's the only Jason they've ever related to. That's the reason why a lot of people are saying I want to see Derek Mears play it again, because that's the one they saw. Now Kane Hodder hasn't been Jason forever. I mean, there have been Jasons before Derek Mears. There's Ken Kissinger who did Jason X.
Yeah,
Uh,
C.G. Graham. Richard
CJ
Booker.
Grant. I mean, yeah, I mean, there's been tons. I just don't know. I mean, if Kane's in shape, I mean, I definitely wouldn't mind seeing him have a role in the movie. Definitely, I don't
Hmm.
necessarily feel like he needs to be Jason though. I think his day has come. I think his legacy is written in stone. I like to see, like I said, I like to see Mears do it again, or I like to see Nathan Jones do it again. They're younger, they're faster, they're going to be a lot more physical than Kane Hodder is at this point in time.
Hmm.
Kane Hodder is not going to be falling through the stairs at 57 years old, right? He's not going to be falling through the stairs like he did. Some of the stunts he did, holding his breath all that time underneath the water and all that. He ain't doing that now. He's just not going to do that. You're gonna need a younger man to do those things. I guess you need a stunt double for your stunt guy.
Yeah, because you have to understand that that takes a toll on your body, and as you get older, it takes a while to you really can't do some of the stunts that a character like Jason calls for you to do. And as much as we love Kane Hodder and what he did for the character,
So,
I really can't see a man who's close to 70 years old trying to do that. I mean, it's just like when Ric Flair wrestled his last match, and as
4 years
as
old.
much as they tried to cover for him, he still had problems doing some of the stuff he did. You still give him credit because he did take some bumps,
Yeah.
because that's Ric Flair. But still, you don't want to, and I don't want to see Kane Hunter doing that. He
No.
had his time. Either you're going to bring back a younger guy or bring back Darren Mears, because I think Darren Mears is younger.
Yeah. He's 55.
Mm-hmm.
My guy who I picked, Nathan Jones, he's 53. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there's probably some other people out there that have some skills that could probably do it, that are younger. But that's who I would pick.
Mm-hmm.
Either Derek Mears, because he was really good, Jason.
Yeah, I know. I really liked his Jason.
I really liked this Jason a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, but I would like to see them bring King Hodder back, like in the role of a sheriff, because people
Mm-hmm.
seem to forget one thing about Kane Hodder is that he is an actor.
Oh
He
yeah.
he can speak, he can play roles, he can, and I think a lot of people don't know that.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be interesting to have him play like the sheriff, or
Yeah.
or,
Check out
or
13 Fanboy.
yeah. How about putting them in a like putting them in a character like Creighton Duke, like
Mm-hmm.
a bounty hunter or something like that. I definitely would be down with that. Um, but yeah, that's as far as the casting goes, as far as the young casting goes, there's so many people out there that play the final girls. I mean, play the antagonist. I mean, there's just so many open possibilities, and it's going to be
Mm-hmm.
really interesting to see the casting direction that they go with.
Yeah.
Will they go with all no names, or will they go with no names plus a legacy character? That'll be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, now, obviously, we talked about this. We talked about this already, but I really feel, and I think that the filmmakers felt the same way. Even though they didn't get the response in 2009 like they thought. I mean, the movie when it came out, it didn't get the best response. But the fans liked it. The fans rolled out for it. They supported it.
Oh
I
yeah, I
think,
did.
I definitely think the fans are more into a human Jason than a supernatural one.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think that.
I agree. Yeah, we don't need another supernatural Jason. We need a more human, more threatening, more frightening Jason than a supernatural. A supernatural Jason is well, you might get some decent kills because he's supernatural, but we need something a little bit more frightening, a little more threatening. I think that's the reason why I liked the remake better, because of how threatening and physical that Jason was.
It's sort of interesting too, Monty. We're talking about keeping him rural, and where he would be spotted easily. But I think he would be more apt to hide in plain sight
Mm,
if in our urban area. But there's one thing that they would have to do in order to make that work, in a sense, is, do we keep Jason with a hockey mask or not? I mean, obviously we have to, but could you imagine him being in an urban setting now? now, and remember, this movie is based in reality. Would that work today? Showing a hockey mask guy walk around in an urban area,
No,
or
not. I think what you could do is that you can bring the hockey mask at the end of the movie. He found, whatever carnage he does at the end of the movie, he gets the hockey mask and he puts it on, and then we have the end credits. I think if you're going to do it that way, put the hockey mask at the end.
maybe have him get disfigured by the final girl
Yeah.
at the end of the movie. He's
Hmm.
normal. He's a normal killer in the first half. Maybe he's got a couple of scars here and there, but overall, he's able to walk among people. And then he gets into the fight with the final girl, and then he gets disfigured, and then at the end, he picks up the mask.
Yes.
I,
Hmm.
I yeah, I can see that happening. All right, I tell you what, we wanted to keep this fast, short, and sweet, and we are. We're definitely going to be coming back and talking more Friday the 13th. Yeah, I can't wait for this. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yes.
Before we
Yes.
go, I definitely want to talk about next Sunday, as Monty G will be back on the Midnight Society. We'll be back on next Sunday, September 4th. And what are we talking about next Sunday, Monty?
We'll be talking about one of my favorite horror films of the year, X, Ty West's X, which actually will have one of the most unique villains that we ever saw, Pearl.
Yeah, that's right. The Midnight Society is going A24 again. This will be our cover. We'll be covering our second A24 film. We covered Saint Maud before, and now we're talking X. We'll be joined on the panel by our fellow ISC Midnight. Ben from Cadaver Club will be here with us, and also will be joining us will be Ken from Mid Level Media. He has some thoughts about X, and he's going to come out, and we're going to talk about the movie, and see if it was overhyped or underhyped. It all
Mhm.
depends who you talk to. What do we like and what we didn't like about it? Um, I personally tell you right now, I saw the previews for Pearl. Pearl interests me a lot. That is she's Mia Goth is gonna be a star. She has a really interesting look.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
she does.
so we will be back for the Midnight Society on September 4th for our look at X. Tonight we'll be joined by Mary Wilson, and of course the Bat will be back with us at the Midnight Society 8 o'clock, and we'll be talking about the House by the Cemetery, and of course 6 o'clock. The ISC Midnight Nights will be back talking about the real McCoy, the real label, the real studio. We'll be talking about Werewolves Within. Have you seen Werewolves Within?
I have not seen it. I heard about it. I heard it was a weird take on the werewolf genre.
It's fantastic. That movie is a lot of fun. A lot of
Mhm.
fun. I did not expect it to be as good as it was. To tell you the truth, I was hoping, but that's a whenever someone talks about werewolves, that's going to be like what the first movie I mentioned. I really enjoyed that. I want to thank our guest Monty. He will be here, like I said, he'll be here next Sunday. Do you have anything going on this week on your channel, Monty, that we should know about?
Yes. Later on, I should have my review of the invitation up and about, and I think sometime next week I will have my second episode of horror movies from the '70s because I am a child of the '70s. I grew into the '70s. My first uh, episode, Willard. I did a kind of a semi quasi review about Willard. That's up. My next video will be Trilogy of Terror, which I will discuss that great TV horror film because it has one of my favorite killer dolls, the Zuni fetish doll.
Right. Uh, that's a fantastic movie. I mean,
Mhm.
that's a fantastic movie. What a that's yeah. Back then when TV movies used to really be there used to be some real quality there, real
Mhm.
quality. So that will be coming up on Money G's channel. I want to thank everybody out in the chat for coming out and supporting this. We'll be back doing this again sometime soon, depending on what information comes out. We'll be back and talking about it. Thank you guys again for coming out, and we will see you tonight at 6 o'clock on an American Werewolf in New Jersey's channel. I'll be putting that in the link down below, so you can follow that. And we'll be talking about Werewolves Within at 6 o'clock. Talk to you soon. Peace.
All right. Stay safe, everyone.